A meeting Dave at Foo Fighters headquarters, Studio 606.
Did I? Sure makes mine look like shit. It's good to see me, bunny lad. Well, it's been a while.
It has been a while.
Yeah. But this is fantastic what you're doing. Thanks for taking time, because I know you're a busy dude.
My pleasure.
But I loved, as soon as you said vans, I just went, you know, it's just, you know, something from the early days. They're the happiest memories, aren't they?
Oh, yeah.
You know, when you, and I've got something for you.
Okay.
Yeah, hang on. This is a photograph of our very first van.
Really?
Yeah. And it was a... What do you think of that? It's a Morris J2. My very first van was 63, 64. I was only 16. Two of the fathers put the money together to buy the van for it. But it was a... I mean, it was a dog. You know, the early days, you know, when you were gonna go and do a gig, you know, the moment you waited in the house and the group van would drive around the corner, and everybody in the street saw it, and you walked out there. I'm a musician, you know.
In a laundry truck.
And what's this old dog here, me son?
Well, okay, so this is our van from the very first Foo Fighters tour. When we started the band, rather than just kind of jump on a bus and travel around, we thought, well, we got to do it the way we have always done it. Let's get a van. And so we bought this thing new in 1995, but I'd never been on tour in a new van. This thing had power windows. It had air conditioning. I mean, it was like a limousine, you know? It was unbelievable. We would kind of build like a plywood platform, the back of the van.
Yeah.
So we could put all the gear under that.
Yeah.
And then you could sleep on top of it. The platform was higher up here, so you'd have this one shelf. You were brave enough, you could sleep up on top of this. But you'd have to figure out the configuration of how to pack it.
Oh, it was very, very...
It was really important. There's only one way to do it. You know, it was like Tetris. And so you had to put all these things in a really specific way. So you're loading out, you like pull out it super fast. You know, we didn't have any of this fancy upholstery.
No.
It was just like a metal
bottoms.
It was like a submarine, you know. We did this one tour of Canada once where it was so cold, and there were 11 of us in this van, like sardines in our sleeping bags, and we were sleeping in the van. The condensation from our breath would hit the ceiling, freeze, and you're trying to sleep as these little drops of ice are hitting you on the face, you know?
Especially when it was mixed with nicotine.
Yeah, exactly. Or maybe something else. But, yeah, I mean, when we got this van, this was absolute luxury for us.
This will be in a museum one day.
I don't know. I'm not giving it up. I got to use it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, you're going to use it on this latest tour that you're doing?
We're actually going to we're doing this tour where, since it's our 25th anniversary, we're going to play in the round in the middle of the arena, which we've only done once before, one show before. And when the lights go out, we're going to drive in the van, park it next to the stage, jump on stage, play for 2.5 hours, get back in the van, and back it out. It's just...
whatever. Still smells of band.
Well, you know what's so funny? After our first tour, you know, this becomes your home. When you're in a club, there's no backstage. You hang out in here. When there's nowhere to sleep, you sleep in here. You do everything in here. It becomes like your little cocoon in your home. And so there were shows where after a show, you walk off stage and you're soaking wet. And you come in here, you change clothes, and you throw your wet T-shirt on there. And so I came home from this tour, and we unloaded all the gear. And this thing was out in front of my house for a couple weeks. And I came out and opened it up, and God, it just smelled like a morgue. It was disgusting. And I looked and I saw this T-shirt that I'd thrown in there like 3 or 4 weeks before, this wet T-shirt. And it was on this plywood platform thing. And I pull up the T-shirt, and it's just solid as a rock. And I looked down, and there were mushrooms growing under it.
Was there? You know, but some of the smells of vans, guys, and but we were coming back from London once in my first band, George. It was about 1972, and we had a big old Ford Transit double wheel. That meant you were making it.
Yeah.
And our roadie at the front let off a biblical fart. I mean, it was biblical. We were We had to pull over at the side of the road, and what made it extra funny was the radio was on, and just then this song started. Remember that song? There's something in the air.
But you know, the other great thing is when you're that close to each other in close proximity for that amount of time, you know, you either become best friends or you become enemies or you become both.
Yeah.
But when you're in this thing, driving for so long, you can't wait to get out and do a gig. And because you've been like this for hours and hours or weeks or months, when you get on stage, it makes you tighter.